Hi, I'm Dr. Sally Foote. Welcome to my Facebook Live today. Today, I'm going to talk about feline separation anxiety. I know we've spent a little bit of time last week and some other Facebook Lives about the dog, then needing to learn independence and independence training, and last week we talked about tethering trouble. So this week, I do want to spend some time talking about our cats. And cats do have or show separation anxiety. It is not as well recognized, it is not as well addressed as canine separation anxiety, and that frankly is primarily because cats do not do the property destruction or self-injury that dogs do. So consequently, a lot of times cat owners may not realize the cat is showing some anxiety about being left alone or barrier frustration, being behind a door, and may just think the cat is frankly being kind of difficult or kind of a pain in the you-know-what. I mean, that's what I've seen sometimes on posts. And so we want to talk about that today. So with this COVID-19 and stay at home, and now finally children may be going to school, some of you may be going back to work, our cats, some of our cats may actually become more bonded to us. That increased bonding, sometimes we call it hyperbonding, is what sets up then for the animal to become anxious when they're separated from the person or another companion or even the space, the environment that they're bonded to. I like to use the term anxiety about separation more than separation anxiety, just because, the term separation anxiety kind of puts us back to the dog destroying things. And if we think anxiety about separation, we think more of that spectrum of mild signs of anxiety to advanced, and that it could be in any species. All right, well, we're talking about the cat today. So in cats, typically that increased bonding can happen when usually if the owner, there's one owner who's doing all the feeding, the care, the playing with the cats, and then the cats tend to sit on their lap. The cats tend to sleep with this individual. They're really very similar in a way to what we call our Velcro dogs. The dogs will always have to be by your side, always right with you. So these are the cats that have a more likely to have separation anxiety when now the owner has to leave or is leaving them. So the signs we see in the cat are actually somewhat similar to the dog, but again, the cat doesn't do as much of, say, property damage or self-injury, so we don't hear about it, but they're there. What happens is, say, you go off to work and your cat is weaving in and out of your legs, constantly rubbing up on you, maybe tripping you, or knocking the cup off the counter, or doing things that keeps calling you back into the space. Like you can't literally get out the door easily. That's one way of the cat is actually showing fidgeting as a sign of anxiety about you leaving. Now when you're gone during the day, usually there's not much seen that's disrupted. And because cats, they're meowing, I mean, unless you have a very loud Tonkinese or Siamese breed cat, their volume of their meowing doesn't bother the neighbors. So you don't hear about the cat maybe meowing through the day, kind of calling for you. Most cats don't do a whole lot of that, but again, we're not really quite clear on that because we don't get the histories from people. But when you come home, right, you're coming up to that front door, and as you open the door, your cat may be right on the other side of the front door, and they're meow, 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 meowing a lot. And when you open the door, they're right there, and they may be weaving in and out of your legs, and maybe even putting their paws up on you for greeting. And when you greet them right then, that's that re-entry attachment in separation anxiety that increases the anxiety about separation. It's like, oh my gosh, you're back. Oh, I can't wait to see you again. And so your cat climbing up on you, and if you're petting them, that actually, while it can kind of calm them, but it's increasing the attachment in that moment. So this is how we tend to see the signs of separation anxiety in the cat. They are meowing at you. They're right underfoot. They may be leading you to the food bowl, because that is typically what we do when we come home from work. Then we may go ahead and feed them, and we're interacting with the cat. And other ways you can see separation anxiety may be now perhaps, someone is ill and they need to be, resting in bed, but we do not want any pets in the bedroom. And normally the pets have been allowed in the bedroom. So now the cat, the bedroom door is closed, and the cat is not allowed in the bedroom. So now the cat's in the hallway, and he's meowing at the closed door, and he's, pawing at the closed door. Some cats may even reach up and undo the doorknob on the door. They may dig at the carpet, and if the cat has claws, and they may actually start pulling up on threads of the carpet or the weave of the carpet, scratching there, scratching more at the door, or scratching more at the trim around the door. It's not just the marking type behavior. This is actually where they're frustrated about the barrier. That's barrier frustration, and it's blending together with the separation anxiety. Similar to what we see in the dog, but the cat doesn't tear the trim off the walls and doesn't bash their head or rip a hole in the hollow core door like the dog does. So again, few veterinarians hear about this. Few even behaviorists may hear about this, and we only hear that, man, he's really being a pain. He's meowing all night and keeping me up all night. Well, what can I do? And so they call the veterinarian, possibly asking for a sedative. Okay, so what can we do to help our cats out? Help them if they're having this problem, and also prevent it from developing. Well, of course, first of all, let's all be clear on knowing the signs of anxiety in the cat. This poster is available through Cattle Dog Publishing, drsafedian.com. Go under the shop, all the way at the bottom, and you can find the free downloads for these posters. If you want to purchase these posters to hand out to your clients or as an educational service, you can also buy them from the company. But first of all, we want to make sure that we are recognizing when we're seeing things like staring, or if our cat's doing any hiding in the house, flipping of the tail, and walking like with a flat back. This is how the cat is kind of showing they're generally anxious. Usually with separation anxiety, you're going to see some of those kinds of body language signs as they're like moving around you as you're getting ready to go. So we recognize they have the anxiety. So whenever you see a sign of anxiety, I want you to think of, what just happened? What did I just do? Did I walk out from the bedroom in my uniform? So now my cat knows it's work day. And now he's meowing, and now he jumped up on the counter and tried to knock off the keys so I couldn't find them, keeping me in the house, okay? Then the uniform is a trigger to your cat's anxiety. And we always say we want to eliminate the triggers as much as we can. If we cannot eliminate them, now we have to do the desensitization and counter conditioning. So this would be, okay, maybe you don't wear your uniform as you're leaving for work, or if you need to wear your uniform, you're going to have days you wear the uniform and you're going to make a game of tossing them toys or playing with them while you're wearing the uniform. So the uniform is less of a trigger. Now, as you go, it's important for the cats to learn some independence for all those steps of you leaving, just like I talked about with the dog. And this is where it really is wonderful to use that same tool of tossing the food for the cat to scamper away from you and pounce in, as I say, kill his food, because a happy cat's a cat who thinks he killed something every day. But this way, he's using exercise and he's moving away from you in fun as you're gathering up your keys, showing up in your uniform, and getting ready to leave the house to go to work. To get the cat hungry enough to pounce on the food, that's important. We stop. No longer, we do not feed the cat out of a big food bowl sitting in the middle of the kitchen. We switch now to more of a meal schedule or small bowls of food hidden throughout the house. But for that time when you leave, you may only put one bowl hidden that he goes to, later in the day. But as you're leaving, you're going to take like a couple handfuls and be tossing the food. So I would toss, and this kitty would turn away and want to turn away from me as I go out the door. And I may have thrown a handful, because this is how he learns to leave me in happiness as I go. Okay, that's independence training for the cat. And when I come back in the house, I may have a small jar of cat food or even the super, super yummy treats, so that as remember, the cat's like, meow, 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 he's at the door, I want you, I'm pawing at the door. Now I need to get in the house, but instead of me now talking to my cat or petting my cat, because those are attention reinforcers, remember? It's increasing the bonding to you if I give it to him while he's begging for it. So rather, now I have that little jar of cat treats or cat food. So as I come in the door, again, I'm going to toss it across the room. So this cat may be like, meow, meow, ooh, food, and he runs over here. and then I come in the house, close the door, I set my keys down, I toss a little more food to keep him happy playing over here. It's kind of like an greeting ritual. And then when I sit down and he comes up to me, now we'll greet. Because all of those re-entering the home triggers, the door opening, you know, me coming in, setting my bags down, we have now changed to, instead of the cat wanting to cling to you and be right up in your face and right around you, he's going to have fun running around for a few minutes looking for his food. And then you go ahead and you can feed him and such. Now for the cat who is meowing at the closed door, I'll go back to that example of maybe somebody has had an injury or an illness, and now we need to keep the cat out of the bedroom where the cat was normally accustomed to being able to sleep in the bedroom. And so there is a closed door. And that closed door is a barrier that is preventing the cat from getting to the owner. So the cat is somewhat anxious about the separation, but now also very frustrated about this barrier. So what do? Well, we do similar like we do with the dog. We're going to play that peekaboo game of part of the cat's meal is going to be earned by tossing the food in the hallway as you close the door and go behind it, as the cat is scampering to eat the food, and then you'd open the door before the cat is pawing or meowing at the door. You can also use food puzzles in the hallway when you do really need to keep the door closed. But the point is that this cat is going to get happy about seeing you go in the bedroom and closing the door, and the cat having fun scampering and finding its food, having other activity in the other parts of the home. Overall, for our cats, separation anxiety is reduced when the cats have those minimum, as I say, minimum requirements for a happy cat. At least 3 different perches per cat in your home. And many of us have multiple cats, so if you have 3 cats, that means you have 3 separate perches for these cats to sleep and lay. 1 cat tree does not equal, 5 perches because there's 5 shelves. It may actually only be equal to that top perch is 1 perch, and maybe a second perch if a second cat lays low and the other one lays high. There's really only 2. The other 3 shelves are just their stairway to get there. Okay, so minimum of 3 perches, distributed through the house per cat. Secondly, a human being should play with that cat 10 minutes a day at a minimum. So that means getting out the feather toy, getting out the laser light, getting out the little sparkle ball. And cats want those toys changed daily. So we have a toy box. I'm going to rotate toys. So 10 minutes per cat with the human, a minimum per day. And that they need to hunt for their food. We want to get away from feeding that big bowl of food and go to more hunting because that uses their hunting skills. Now, a thing that can also be a bit of a quandary is when the signs of separation anxiety in a cat are not showing this meowing, digging at the door, like I said, the ones that tend to parallel the dog. Cats are a little bit unique in that when they are anxious, for whatever reason, it can tend to cause a medical condition first. And that's what's most recognizable. So, for example, I'll never forget when I was a young veterinarian, my boss saying, a cat came in who was blocked. He couldn't urinate. He had a plug in his urethra, very life-threatening. And I brought the cat in. We were treating the cat in, and my boss said, "Oh yeah, this cat always does this whenever the client is getting ready to leave for a trip. Did the client say she's getting ready to leave for a trip?" And I said, "Well, yeah, she did." And he said, "It's the stress of seeing her pack triggers him to go into this." And this was in the days before a lot of our good diets and things. So, we got the cat managed, but then it did bring up the thought of, well, is there any way the client could pack where the cat won't see it? And that was kind of a novel idea. But the point being, this cat was not knocking things off the counter meowing. This cat, the stress caused inflammation in the bladder that then caused the blockage in the urethra and feline urologic syndrome. So urinary tract problems, inappropriate elimination, that is not even in a solo cat household where you're keeping the box really clean. The cat may start to not use the litter box because of pain in the urinary tract. And it is truly a medical condition, but it is actually brought on or exacerbated by this anxiety in the household, which may be about separation anxiety. So it may seem odd to think that a cat would start having urine, is not just being a pain or a difficult cat because he's missing the box. He actually is having the pain, and it's this balance of the two, both medical and behavioral. Other physical signs we may see in the cat is vomiting. You know, in my 35 plus years of being a veterinarian and in practice, I would say the two body systems for cats that are affected by stress is the urinary system and the gastrointestinal system. So that's why in stressed cats, yes, we do see more vomiting. We may also see changes in their stool. They may have a loose stool, they may actually have constipation problems. And so vomiting, yes, is truly caused by irritation. Yes, we may also be seeing more hair in the vomit, and that can be because of the increased grooming, and the increased grooming from the stress then leads them to the hair balls, which is truly an intestinal irritant and truly does cause the vomiting. But going back to what's part of the cause of it, is because of the stress in the home. So if your cat is throwing up regularly once or twice a week and looks otherwise healthy, still please tell your veterinarian and open up that discussion to talk about could there be a stressor or things in the home, so we can provide for you both the best medical information as well as behavior information for the health of your cat. There are a couple, I just want to bring up a couple good resources for you to use to keep your cats healthy and well behaved. I do have my YouTube channel, and if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can see a lot of videos. I do show some about how to toss the food for cats to kill their food, which works great for preventing housemaid aggression. It also is good for teaching this independence, good for exercise to reduce obesity. I also give kind of a tour, like I had at my veterinary practice, of how we had all the different perches set up in our waiting room space that could accommodate our 3 cats without getting in the way, of how chairs and seating, and it's to give people an example of how you can also do this at home, so that you fill that 3 perches per cat kind of requirement. And then all of these Facebook lives I am sharing up on my YouTube channel, so you can easily go back there to see the archives. As I said, the handouts, go ahead and go to Dr. Siffy again for this one. I also have on my website, under the pet owner resources, a couple other handouts. One is the top 10 ways to add a cat to your home. And I give 10 different needs of the cat that we all should be providing in their home. Well, thank you very much. I look forward to reading your comments. I'm going to respond to them after this Facebook Live. Take care and have a great week.